Welcome to Life by Design. I'm your host, Robyne, and I am thrilled to welcome you to this space for real conversations about how we live, how we show up day in and day out, because the quality of our life is shaped by our habits. What we do in ordinary time allows us to be extraordinary. We can unpack what it takes to truly live well and be well in real life. Welcome to Life by Design. And I'm just so excited that you are here. We're just going to dive right in. I am so glad that you are here. First and foremost, let's just take a moment together to just take that deep breath, settle, ground. You're exactly where you need to be in this moment to receive these insights. And I feel so fortunate to be able to share them with you today. I'm excited to share with you some research that I have been working on this past winter and spring season that I can bring to you, which is the 4 R's of nervous system recovery. First and foremost, you have a nervous system. It is weary, but it, my friends, is not broken. It has been keeping you alive. It is keeping you safe. It is allowing you to accomplish all of the moving parts that you are navigating this particular season. If anything, the nervous system is maybe one of the only parts of your biology that are looking out for you. It is making sure that you are okay. It's sending you some pretty important information to let you know that perhaps we need a wee bit of a rest. We need a little bit of restoration. Maybe we need to be on alert, whatever it might be. Our nervous system is constantly doing its best to protect us. So first and foremost, it is not broken. You don't need to reset it. You don't need to ask it to do more. If anything, right now, what these weary nervous systems need is just this amazing amount of gratitude, curiosity, and also assurance, where we're able to say, at ease, soldier, you've done the good work, and be able to finish some of these stress cycles. We have a lot of open loops, and our nervous system is doing its best to juggle all of these moving parts. And it's not even that we have a lot on our plate. It's we have platters while also juggling chainsaws, right? We have a lot of things going on. You're not alone, and life is hard. And it's not because you're doing it wrong. Life has become very complex. And we are getting more information. We are seeing things on a world stage that, even if you think about our ancestors, they wouldn't have had a clue about all of the information that we are now getting at our fingertips. It would have taken weeks or months for these updates to make it across the world, but we are literally getting them in seconds. We also know that there is this degree of loneliness within the busyness that we know doesn't feel good. We feel that sense of disconnection, even though we are more apparently connected than we've ever been before. So first and foremost, you are not broken. You are not doing this wrong. There are ways that we can show up for these nervous systems to say, thank you, you are safe. Now, I'll share with you one of the big ideas that I have seen, and we've taken a deep dive on this topic in the last few months, is that where I see that folks are getting really off track is that they're trying to regulate a nervous system that doesn't feel safe. You can never regulate a nervous system that still feels unsafe. Our nervous system is designed to stay hyper-focused on it. So if you are in a situation that feels wobbly, no amount of breath work, no amount of walking, nature, music, connection, friends, no amount of any of those things are going to send the right cues to your nervous system that you can let this go, or you can close the loop, that this is something that has been processed, metabolized, and addressed. There are still things at play, and our nervous system is picking up. So think about it this way. We have been doing this idea of trying to regulate, which would be the same as putting your phone, if you notice it's at 10% battery life and you slide it to the low power mode, you're trying to conserve the energy. But what really needs to happen is that we actually have to plug it in. We need to restore the energy, not just like minimize its use. So when you are depleted and you go for a walk, you know what? In the moment, it might feel lovely and maybe it gives you like a moment of reprieve. But then as soon as you walk back into that situation, or you even kind of go back to those thoughts or whatever it might be, you're going to be escalated or activated again because we are trying to regulate something that doesn't have the cue yet that says it's safe or we can close this loop or we have completed the work. So if we want to get true sense of well-being, right now we want to shift from trying to regulate our way through this to the place of giving ourselves the spaciousness or the opportunity to be restored, to be able to literally plug ourselves back into our energy source, let those battery cells fill back up so we can be open and available to these big, beautiful, bright lives. So first and foremost, there is a significant difference between being able to regulate and being able to restore. And restoration has to come before regulation. Now, one of the things, just as a wee little side digression, a little side quest while we're in this big quest, is that I think self-awareness is really key, right? Self-awareness is super key for us to be able to know how we are actually feeling. It's the same example where it's like, how are you today? I'm good, tired, busy, fine. How are you really? Not so good. I'm barely holding on. Things are tricky. So self-awareness is phenomenal. One of the things that I'm observing right now, I'm not seeing a lot of self-awareness in a balanced way. What do I mean by that? I'm seeing a lot of folks who are actually kind of mean. They're observing or they are noticing all of their faults, all of their shortcomings, all of the problems, all of the areas of growth, all of the negative parts in them. And if your practice of self-awareness is only noticing when you're failing or when you're behind or when you're trying to fix something, that's not being self-aware. That's just being mean to yourself. Because true self-awareness is having a whole assortment of dual truths. I'm tired, I might be overworked, underrested, and I'm still getting my work done. I'm still able to show up wholehearted. I'm still able to smile at that stranger in the lineup, or I'm still able to like slow down enough to ask somebody, how is their day? And that's the key with self-awareness. Like, yes, we notice some of the shortcomings or areas of improvement, but we also hold spaciousness for the stuff, even in the storm, even in the heavy, the hard, we're still doing good work. We still are showing up with compassion and empathy, and we're still trying. So self-awareness is key, but true self-awareness, seeing the big picture, both sides of the picture, and they're still good, even when it's messy and maybe you were a wee bit short with a loved one. That's part of it. You're still trying, you're still showing up, and we know that is absolutely key. Okay, so we're going to think about our self-awareness in this deeper breath. All right. And then we're going to think about that restoration. So here are just a few questions that I have to kind of prompt your thinking. When was the last time you genuinely felt lighter? Like you genuinely felt like just the weight of the world was just lightened up ever so slightly. And I think it's so fascinating when I think Jen and I were chatting once and they were talking about like, oh, what's the weight of the weighted vest or the ruck we're supposed to wear when we're going out for these like walks or these incline walks to get maximum health benefit. And it's like, women are literally carrying the weight of their families on their shoulders. They don't need an extra 20 pounds. Okay. So like, again, and even the research there is starting to look a little bit spicy about like, is it actually as beneficial as we think it is? Again, this is so amazing about research is like time will tell, right? Time will tell if like bouncing on the rebounder while wearing a 20-pound vest and juggling the weight of the world is actually going to help our bone density, or is that actually causing more stress? Is it actually more harmful than helpful? We will see. Okay. When is the last time you genuinely felt lighter? When is the last time that you lost track of time in a good way? In a good way, in a way where you were just fully immersed in an experience where you were just able to exhale, you were able just to, for that moment in time, just be fully present. And The next question I have for you, when was the last time you felt the most like yourself? Like the version of you that like you would want to hang out with, the version of you that is like not the most perfect or the most evolved, but just you when you are having fun and you are fun to be around. When were those moments? Now, another question that I love to ask, and I actually asked Jeff this the other day, and he literally paused and he looked at me and he's like, never in the history of my life have I ever thought of this question. He's like, but this gives me deep insight in the fact that this is questions that you think about just on the daily. I said, Jeff, what's been your favorite age so far? He was like stopped in his tracks. He's like, pardon? I'm like, what age has been your favorite so far? And he's like, I've never thought of that. I will give it some thought and I will circle back. And that's a question I want to ask you. What has been your favorite age so far? Now, I can tell you 46, 47, that is me now. And oh my goodness, I'm having the best time ever. Like the best time ever, even with some turbulence and some parts that I'm trying to navigate and stick handle, even with some of the noise, like in my bones are feeling the best that they have ever felt. Like 46, 47 so far have been my favorite years. And I thought about, okay, well, why is that? Well, something that I know is I'm taking the time for full restoration, where I'm looking after my body in a way that I've never been able to figure out before. Like it has literally taken me 47 years on this planet and probably 30 plus years of actively working on it to figure out what this body of mine actually needs and what it likes and what it wants. I have learned the hard lesson that you cannot hate yourself healthy, but I can be strong and find a way to like rest my body, recover my body, move my body in such a way where it's like, this is what I love to do. Even to the point where like just this past weekend, Ava, our daughter, and the girls, that is Celeste, which is Jackson's partner, and then Victoria, which is Hunter's partner, the four of us, we did the mud running girl. We did an event where literally we ran 5 kilometers and found 17 obstacles. And I was able to like keep up with those youngings, even to the point where they were just like, damn, Robyne, like you are fit. And what was amazing is this was one of the first times I was able to do an event where like I just fully embraced myself without any fear, self-consciousness. Like I was just able to be present. I was able to keep up with those youngins, even to the point where they might have said that I might have pushed them a wee bit harder in a fun run than they needed to go. But all that being said, I have found a system that works for me. Now, this system isn't necessarily going to work for everyone, but I made the effort to do the work to find the right opportunities and the support I needed. So that way my body-based restoration is working. Now, heart-based restoration. My heart is so full right now because I'm actively looking for hope. I'm actively supporting other people finding the hope. I am seeing breakthroughs with some of the clients that I get to coach where like they are having these amazing experiences. And I love when people can learn from my mistakes. I love being able to share insights and wisdoms and those pieces that helps with the heart. I'm also helping people figure out what works for them, like being able to be of service. It's one of the most beautiful vocations and callings. So doing the work of figuring out what does my heart need. I also have relied on a few fantastic Disney shorts, which I cannot tell you enough of gosh, how I love that little Loch Ness monster. But Disney has these little vignettes. And when I notice I've gone down like a doom scroll, or if I notice I just got a wee bit like stuck with some sticky thoughts or some tension points, bringing in just like this pattern interrupt where it's like, oh, I'm going to go and find a Disney short, get myself all fueled up in humanity again, and then I'm ready to keep going. The other way we find restoration is mind-based. Okay. Our mind, we are constantly in this place of decision making and problem solving, carrying the mental load. I did an activity recently that I actually shared in a coaching session that I'm so excited to share with you here. It was this idea that I started to write on like a Post-it note of like, what are some of the reoccurring things that I'm thinking about and I'm like wondering about. So I have a list of thinkings. As I said, it started on a Post-it note. It moved to a larger piece of paper, moved to the back of a piece of paper. And one of the things that I started to notice is that I wasn't paying attention enough to the fact that there was stuff trapped in that echo chamber that I wasn't actioning. And this was the learning that I stumbled upon that I was excited to share with you here is I was waiting for clarity before I took action. And something that I know to be absolutely true is that we need action to bring us clarity. So I was waiting for clarity to get like the right decision, or I needed to like have like the right time. And I know that's a cognitive trap. There's no such thing as the right time. There's no right thing as all of the information. And you might recall in one of the very first episodes I ever shared on the podcast was that difference between like thinking like we're playing chess versus playing poker. Like poker means we have enough information, we can make educated guesses, but we're not waiting for perfect information because perfect information is an illusion. There's always going to be other variables. And if we're waiting for all of the things to line up, chances are that's not likely going to unfold in a way that allows you to move into action so you can feel better. So getting just some clarity through action by writing it down, by noticing what am I going through? What am I thinking about? And the last one is this piece around community-based restoration. And one of the things that I find really helpful when we're looking for that like restoration in community is the idea of like being open to receive. You're givers. You give, you do. That's one of the characteristics we see in high performers and the listeners who enjoy this podcast. By the way, thank you for tuning in and joining and listening to the podcast. Is you're givers and you're doers and you're fixers. And every once in a while, we find our people where we're able to like put all down those roles and responsibilities and we're able to receive. The way I like to remind myself about this is it takes a village. And in many cases, we are the village. We are the village for many people, but that also means we have to be a villager. We receive support. We're part of solutions. We don't have to carry the weight of the world on our own. It's okay to ask for help. And what I see in my work and what I see when I'm supporting other people in the work that they're doing, people genuinely want to help. People genuinely want to hear, how are you really? And there is a sacred group of people who want your long updates, who want to be able to show up and listen so that way you don't have to try and figure this out all by yourself. Okay, so if you're wondering, okay, Robyne, I hear you saying the first R in the 4 R's in the nervous system regulation and resetting. And again, I know this isn't about resetting and regulation, but around this idea of how we bring our nervous systems back into balance is restoration. Where do I know, or where do I even go to figure out what does my body need, or what does my heart need, or my mind need, or what do I need from community? What I invite you to think about is ask yourself, what am I wishing for? When it's really noisy, are you wishing for quiet? If it's really hectic, are you wishing for calm? If things are really kind of isolating and feeling a little bit disconnected, are you wishing for your friends? Are you wishing for somebody to reach out and say, hey, do you want to go for a walk and grab coffees and we can chat? Like, again, just notice what it is your heart is like wishing. And maybe it's a wee bit of a whisper. What is that whisper? Are you wishing for just a wee bit more clarity in the sense of knowing it is what you want? So if you want to know what you want, my invitation is slow down long enough, pause, and simply ask, hey, Robyne, self, what do you want right now? And you might notice you're going to get some like spicy answers, like, I would like people to do their job. I would like people to like fold the laundry. Like you might notice there's like those knee-jerk spicy responses. That's cool, right? That's just the wee bit of the protest behavior getting processed. But really sit with that. Like, what is it that you really want right now? And maybe it could be like, honestly, I want somebody just to make this decision for me, right? Or you know what? I just want 5 minutes where I'm not trying to like hold everybody else together. Maybe, you know what I really want is just like a super delicious hamburger. Like I just want like a hamburger. I just want that iron hit. I want that protein hit. Or maybe I want to eat a meal with carbohydrates and not a protein in sight and be okay with it. And as I've shared before, I have had more pressure at 47 to eat protein than I ever did to do drugs as a teenager. Okay. Like maybe I just want to enjoy my mac cheese with no protein and it be enough and satisfying without feeling like, oh, I'm supposed to get 40 grams of protein in the serving. Whatever it is, you have deep intuition of what it is that you need. You simply have to ask. Now, I recently was speaking with a woman and she said, Robyne, I did that exercise. I asked myself what I needed. And she said, I got really emotional because what I realized is what I needed from somebody, like they weren't able to give me. And we unpacked that together. And I asked her if the person was unwilling to give her what she needed or if that person was underskilled. And after we did a wee bit more discovery, she said, oh my gosh, I think that they're actually unskilled, that they actually don't have the skill to be able to do the thing that I'm asking them to do. And she said, I have been building this resentment. She said, I think for years when I realized like they don't actually have the ability to do the thing that I want them to do. And where we landed on that was this idea of it's like we want people just to want to do it. But if we're not actually being fair, if we haven't been clear of letting somebody know what that looks like. And in this particular example, it wasn't super complicated, but it was something where this person was underskilled. And then my gentle invitation is not to approach that person and say, you are underskilled in this area and you need to do better. It's kind of like giving somebody a, get better card when they're not sick. It's like, just be better. That's not usually very useful. But what it does is it gives you context to realize, okay, if I really want this person to meet the need, they're not able to meet the need. And instead of the story I'm telling myself is that they don't want to, recognizing they might not be able to, is there somewhere else or some other place or space or way that I could have that need be addressed? And in this particular case, the woman that I was working with realized, like, you know what? I actually think I would benefit from, these are her words, of actually talking to somebody, like paying for some support, like literally paying where a trusted person, in this particular case, it was a social worker, where she could literally be like, I want to be able just to like get this off my chest. And I want to be able for this particular person to like hear my words. And because they don't know the person I have beef with, I don't have to worry about family gatherings, because she wanted her partner to like understand where she's coming from with some of these family dynamics. But the person couldn't do it without getting super defensive of his family, which makes sense. But this is one of the beautiful things about things like BetterHelp, that you can actually find confidential people in the realm of psychotherapy and social work, where you're able to get support, you get your need met, and it doesn't rock the boat. So, hey, sounds like a win-win. Okay, a few other gentle kind of ideas to think about around this restoration is recognizing that this isn't just like a flip of a switch. And what I mean by that, and this is so big, and this is me with like holding up the sign for my teachers and my educators, is that your nervous system has been going full throttle and you are going to hit these brakes so hard very soon, what we call end of the year or end of term. But you have to realize there's still all of this momentum behind you that's going to make that decompression time really complicated unless we have a strategy. And again, this isn't about needing to do more. It's about figuring out what it is that will allow you to process and recognize what the last 10 months were, allow you to transition into your season of recovery and play and restoration in a way that you're going to get the best return on your investment of time. One of the things that hurts my heart so much when I speak to educators is the fact that they finish the school year, they exhale and they blink, and all of a sudden it's the end of August and they're going to do it all again. And it feels like this giant rinse and repeat. Or they feel coming into August that, I didn't use my time wisely or efficiently to get the recovery or get all the things done or things that I wanted to do done in the months that I had in that season of summer. And my wish for you and my hope for you is that we can find other ways that you are able to like move into a place of openness, of spaciousness, being able to process those emotions so you can get full restoration, move over to that place of regulation so your nervous system knows that it is safe. It is allowed to stand down. You can enjoy the season as it is. And then we're able to move into the other two of our R's, which we talk about in this idea of being able to reflect, getting to a place where we're far enough away from the stressor, we're able to think about perhaps systems or strategies or organizational approaches that are going to allow us to move into the next season in a way that is more than just like wishful thinking. It's a hope-filled strategy that we know if we fully invest in it, it's going to give us a great ROI. And then we're in this precious place of the fourth R, which is reimagining. Okay, so here's our closing little activity I invite you to think about. If you're able to do so, what I would encourage you to do is just close your eyes if you can, or even just kind of soften your gaze. And I want you to think about that big problem or thing that is weighing the heaviest on your head and your heart. Okay, so just take a moment in your mind's eye. I want you to bring and invite that thing that's been bumping around like a running shoe in the dryer. You know, when you like have a running shoe in the dryer, or like, you know, for me, it's like I have a pair of overalls with like the buckles, and you hear them when they're in their dryer. It's like ta-ting, ta-ting. Okay, so I want you to, that thing that's been bumping around in your head and your heart. Okay, so I want you to call it to your forefront. Like I want you to bring it into your mind's eye. And what I want you to do is just for this moment in time, I want you to like transport yourself in your mind to 6 months in the future. And that problem has been put to rest. That problem has been restored. That problem has been solved. That problem has been addressed. And you are in a season where that thing that you were scared about, worried about, carrying, grieving, whatever it is, you are now 6 months in the future. And I want you just to hold space and breathe into what it feels like for that no longer to be. Now, it doesn't mean it never happened. It just means that you made the decision. You are on the other side of it. And there's this spaciousness and there's this openness of that no longer being your running shoe in the dryer, or that thought that's trapped in that echo chamber, or your 3 a.m. thought that likes to remind you every time at 3 a.m. that this is the thing that you're worried about. Bring yourself into that future state. I just want you to notice how you feel in your body, how you feel in your head, how you feel in your heart, that you're able to look at yourself and think, damn, like that was brave that I was able to have that difficult conversation, or that took courage to be able to ask for help, or that was hard, but I did it anyway because I can do hard things. And now I'm on the other side, and that story has come to a close, or that chapter has ended, or perhaps I took the jump, I made the leap, and I landed exactly where I meant to be. What I want you to do is just feel energetically reimagine what's possible in that space, because this is the beauty of psychology and physiology, is that when we create an idea of the future, we're already starting to pave the way from a neuroplasticity perspective, that those little neurons have a place to go. And once we start to revisit and imagine and breathe into and action into that future state, and we actually even put a wee bit of our energy, what happens is it becomes more readily available that our brain can start creating that into reality. Our actions, our habits, our routines, and our rituals will start to crave that feeling of being on the other side. So, my friends, this is the power of reimagining. It's not reimagining what has happened, but it's imagining and reimagining what is possible when we create our days in such a way that by design, they're full of opportunities for restoration, for recovery. When we are then able to regulate and again say to that wee little nervous system, stand down, you are doing enough. And one of my favorite questions when people say, like, Robyne, am I doing enough as a parent? Am I doing enough as a founder? Am I doing enough? You obviously are. You likely are doing too much, because the people who ask that question already are in that realm of overperforming. The parents who aren't showing up for the kids, they're not asking themselves, am I a good parent? Even you asking that question tells me that you are absolutely invested in what matters most. So please spend some time in that place of recovery, that place of regulation, that place then to reflect, to see what is it that I want to make matter most and make it matter most. And then just keep reimagining how good it is going to feel on the other side of that hard. And you know what? Absolutely. When you get to that other side, there's going to be a new hard. But thankfully, you can do hard things. And at the end of the day, this is the hard that I choose. My friends, I hope this was useful. I'm really excited. This end of June, we actually have a special event that's happening for our members of the educational community, where we are going to take such a deep dive into how do we bring recovery and that restoration? What does regulation look like on a short timeline? How do we start to reflect? What are the key questions to ask? And then how do we reimagine these days so that way that there is a spaciousness that we need so we can be truly self-aware in the biggest, broadest definition that not only acknowledges where we need to work on, but also celebrates how far we have come and that we're absolutely enough just as we are. So if you know an educator, and especially if you want to send some love towards them, this workshop is so hands-on. It's heart work, it's head work, but it really allows people to get a head start to feeling their best over the summer months. I would love to see you there. If you can't join us for one of the live sessions, check out on the website. We have the opportunity for you to purchase the recording because I want to make this as accessible as possible to as many people. And I'm here to be useful. Ultimately, that is my goal. I hope this helps. Please take the time for you. What's possible, it's going to be great. On the other side of this stuff, it is always better days ahead. So thanks for listening to today's episode. I appreciate you keeping me company on a solo dolo episode with a little dash of puppies on the side. Take good care, and I look forward to seeing you, hearing you next time. Thank you for spending time with me on this episode of Life by Design. I appreciate if you have a moment to pay this forward, share it with someone who you think might benefit from the ideas shared in this episode. If you're feeling so inspired, please also rate and review the podcast wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts. Again, thank you for listening. Thank you for your time. Take good care, and I'll see you next time.